Hello cinephiles, welcome back to another FYC event. Today we're headed to the Directors Guild for the HBO MAX series Love and Death with Elizabeth Olsen. So are you ready? Let's go! Oh, hello, hi there. It's me, Todd. I'm in the studio, and today's sponsor is myself. The best way to support the channel is to subscribe to my Patreon, where not only do you become a member of the community, you get early access to the B-side videos as well as watch-throughs of movies or TV shows we are covering, and other movie reactions and commentaries from a filmmaker's perspective. And if that's out of your budget, no worries. Just hit that like button. It really does help out the channel with the algorithm. And of course, subscribe to get the latest videos delivered directly to you. Hit that notification bell to be alerted of the newest uploads, and please share these videos with your friends and family. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program. So we are headed to the Directors Guild, like I said before, and I've never actually been to the Directors Guild, so this is fairly exciting. And we also will be driving right by the CBS Television City, which will be on our right, so keep an eye out for that in just a second. And the Writers Guild is right to the left of us, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's the Writers Guild, and as we turn right up Fairfax right here, we're going to be passing right by CBS Television City, where they film The Price is Right, they film James Corden in there, they film some of the other game shows, and historically, you know, they filmed Sonny and Cher in there, they filmed Carol Burnett in there. Like so much television history at CBS Television City. And there it is, right there. Right to the right. There it is. Directors Guild of America.
The destination is on your left. Directors Guild of America. Arrived.
Love and Death will call right here. Oh, everyone's lined up. Everybody is lined up to get into Love and Death. And let's look at some of this photos on the wall of all these amazing movies and all these amazing directors. Before we head in, yeah, look at that. Look at that one. So sweet. And that's what we're here for, Love and Death. Let's go check out the theater. Wow, so nice.
The cast is still taking photos, but they're like, you go out. And I was like, there's no cast yet. They're like, that's okay. So I don't know if they want me to like do a song and a dance or whatever is happening. But anyway, I'm here. Hold on. I didn't even know if I was supposed to give my bag to someone. Just like, go out. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I have to say I've seen all the 7 episodes so far. I watch so much TV for my job that I could not stop with this. I am riveted. This is one of the best shows I have seen in years, and I was just so happy when they asked me to moderate because I just can't stop saying good things about it and stuff. Can you hear me or should I? You're okay? Oh, wow.
Hey!
And by the way, my name is Jessica Radloff. I'm the senior West Coast editor at Glamour. Thank you. I mean, I feel like I should be doing stand-up up here. Like, what? They did. They're like, go on. I'm like, I mean, they're literally in a photo booth thing doing photos. So it's like, so yeah. Anyhow, all right. Well, I hope you. I don't know. I hope you all brought Tupperware because there's so much food out there that you'll have leftovers tomorrow. Did you? Did you bring Tupperware? You're clapping. I would. I mean, it's gonna go to waste, so why not, right? Oh, we have the cast? Okay, we have the cast. I feel very close to you now, like we should do a whole, whole Q&A. Okay, all right, we're ready. I hope that, can you guys see them? Do they look like they're there? Okay, well, we'll try. We'll see if someone comes out. Okay, so first up, she plays Sherry Kleckler. Please welcome Kristen Ritter. This is honestly the funniest thing. Yay, okay. Oh wait, no, Tom, go back. I gotta announce you. Don't. Guys, go back. Oh jeez. Okay, next up, he plays Don Crowder. Please welcome Tom Pelfrey. After that, he plays Pat Montgomery. Please welcome Patrick Fugit. Next up, she plays Betty Gore. Please give it up for Lily Rabe. Next up, he plays Alan Gore. Please welcome Jesse Plemons. Oh, wait. What happened to Jesse? He's in the bathroom? Yeah. Oh, okay, so without further ado, please welcome Candy Montgomery herself, Elizabeth and Jesse Plemons. You had no idea this was going to be a comedy series panel, did you? Oh my goodness. And finally, she is director and executive producer extraordinaire. Please welcome Leslie Linka Gladden. I don't know if you guys knew what was happening. This has already been my favorite panel I've ever done. I was literally out here for 5 minutes just chatting with everybody, and I'm like, they're doing photos. And then I say to Tom, go back, you're not supposed to come out yet. Like, we're all very close. They're coming over to my house later to watch the rest of the other 2 episodes that have just premiered. I was telling this audience, I feel, well, I watch so much television for my job, and when I truly love something, it gives me such pride to be able to share that with an audience and all of you, and I love this series so much. And part of me feels a little bad saying it because there is such a tragedy at the heart of it, but what you all did to humanize these people and to just show the layers, it's so beautifully done. So congratulations on premiere day. No, my pleasure. You all deserve it. I want to start, first of all, we can't say enough about the costume design, the production design, the music that truly gives this show such an established base to start with. What was it like for all of you the first day you saw each other in costume and in hair and makeup? Who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, the very first day, I believe was that camera test.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
And
At the Como.
at the Como,
Or
and
set.
yeah, I was in between both of
But I was there
in
too.
the Como Motel, which a little fitting and a taste of what was to come.
Yep.
And then the actual first day where we met, the whole cast was all of the church stuff.
Yeah.
And so we were seeing everyone in costume and then seeing their church choir ourselves as well, which was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. The production design was something that was a really incredible element. Beyond just the set pieces that were built, the amount of towns, first off. I don't know how many towns we shot in to make 2 towns look right.
What about motels?
I mean, the motels, there's 3. But we gave lots of places facelifts. I mean, it was really unbelievable to see Suzuki and her team in real places transform these main streets, these motels. I don't remember how much paint was used, but there's like thousands of
Gallons and gallons, because anything that's from 1978 and it hasn't been repaired is in horrible shape. So you have to fix it, and then mostly people change it. But you know, it was so important to create the world around this story. For me, as a director, creating the world is so much a part of the storytelling. And this is about a community of people, and you know, I was born in Texas, and there's something about the beauty of the wide open spaces and the possibility, and I think we wanted to have that in the community we were building. Especially, there's a tragedy at the heart of it.
Right, and Patrick loved Texas so much, he moved there. He was telling me this backstage, you moved to northern Texas, which is incredible.
Yeah, I moved where Jackie Ponder ends up, Wichita Falls, which is super random. It's not sexy. Good for family though. That's why we're there.
I remember, Patrick, when you put on those glasses,
Yes.
it's like you became Pat.
That was really, like, the rest of the wardrobe was very informative. The pictures of Pat Montgomery were very informative, how he carried himself, but the glasses were really like, I needed those. I needed them to really like.
Your eyes immediately changed. It was like kind of glazed.
Well, and Jesse,
Always.
your haircut, I mean, that.
Oh, Jesse's hair. Oh, yeah.
His choice.
Big Daddy.
And it was one of the smartest choices I've ever seen. I've never seen someone be so specific about a hair choice, and I thought it was an amazing in. I want to hear how you chose
It was a
that.
popular look back
Yes.
then.
Wait, did you choose that?
I did.
You chose that.
There were many ideas, and that's what we ended up with. Yeah.
I love it. And listen, Tom, you went through 2 spray tans a week, right? To play Don?
I sure did. I stayed well lacquered.
I love that.
Yeah, Don would go up to the roof of his law office. We worked with Robert Yudishin, and he was an advisor on the show. Don would go to the roof of his law office every day at lunch and lay out and tan. Unfortunately, when I do that, I get red, and then I return to my original pale state. So I opted for the spray tan.
You guys are in for a real treat when we get to some of Tom's later episodes, which we'll get to in a minute. But Leslie, I want to start with you about why you wanted to work with, of course, I can imagine why you want to work with David E. Kelley and this amazing cast, but what was it about this story that appealed to you that you wanted to bring it to HBO Max?
Well, I was sent the 2 original Texas Monthly stories, and when I read them, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it is certainly a case where reality is much stranger than fiction, and I think if this story wasn't true, I don't think you could tell this story. I mean, there are so many things about it. And we tried to stay very true to the facts of the story. And meanwhile, David E. Kelley was sent the same story. And we had always wanted to work together. And as he describes it, he's the wordsmith. He says, in our combined 50 years of telling stories, we had never worked together, which is crazy. So this is what brought us together. It's been an incredible partnership, hopefully the first of many. But what pulled me to the story was that things were not what they appear to be. And that what's really going on is so much deeper than that. And, it's 1978. This is small town America. And, it's very bucolic on the surface. It's so much about like the crack in the American dream. But I'm very interested in the women, but also the men who, did everything right. They got married young, they had their 2 kids, they moved to the suburbs to have a safe, beautiful life. And why do you feel so empty inside? Why is there a hole in your heart and psyche and soul that's a mile wide? And I think, Candy, is aspirational. She's looking for more always. And, we know what happens here, but I got to work with this unfucking believable cast. And I love these people here. And sorry, I didn't say that.
No, how long did it take to assemble everybody, because like you said, this cast is, I mean, you guys are stacked. What you do, and you each deserve Emmy nominations for everything that you do in this series. Wait till you see. But how long did it take to get everybody together and get this ready to film?
I mean, we started with Lizzie, we sent you the first.
You sent me one, I think, and then I asked
sent you one. That was
and then I asked
good.
for two,
Yeah.
and the articles.
Yes. And we talked on Zoom because it was COVID time. Right. And Lizzie everyone sitting here was our first choice. So that's kind of incredible. And we talked to Lizzie, she was the first person we talked to, and the best choice ever. So yeah.
So Lizzie, then tell me, what intrigued you about playing Candy Montgomery?
I thought that there was this gripping of a veneer, this obsessiveness of needing a validation, and then underneath it was also kind of funny. And so I also wasn't paying attention to the fact that it was a true story. I'm sure someone said it in an email, but I was looking at the attachments, and I thought the Texas Monthly articles, for whatever reason, I read a lot of short stories in literary magazines, and I thought it was a literary short piece that was, coming from the point of view of like it was a fictional journalist or whatever. I mean, it was interesting actually, because we talked to someone the other day as a cast who works at Texas Monthly, and their what's the word? Their like theme is make it mythic, and the articles are mythic. And so there's a story there that there's a lot of decision making that doesn't make really any kind of logical sense, and so I found it interesting to try and figure out what that tension or that grip is that makes all these weird choices make sense. Right. And I was hoping when I spoke to David and Leslie that they were interested in playing with tone, that it wasn't just like, yes, the dialogue feels authentic, but it wasn't just about like making the most grounded or like super subtle or something. Like there was something playful about the writing, and I was hungry to do something like that, but stay, in a real world that's authentic. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up the tone, because as Leslie and I were talking the other week on Zoom, I said to you, I was like, it feels like there's multiple different shows in one here, because the tone changes quite a bit. I mean, you guys are in for such a treat here with what happens, but the tone, especially in the first few episodes, there's so much humor, and you have to have that in order to balance what's to come. But what was that like for all of you as you were filming the first part of this? First of all, did you film it in order? Or no?
I'm sorry. That sound just came out. We did shoot the church. It was very important to me to create a sense of community among our characters. So we shot everything at the church first. And the singing and the picnics and the sense of community. I do think it really bonded everyone. I wish we could have shot all in order, but no, we did not. We cross-boarded 4 hours, and then 2, and then 1, the last one, the finale. But it does shift tonally quite a bit.
Lily, what was your research like when you were first looking at the scripts and the character? What kind of deep dive did you do into Betty Gore?
Oh gosh, as deep a dive as I could. And something that's so remarkable about her is, she was, when they were in Kansas, she was kind of a golden girl. She was more like Candy in her sort of the previous chapter of her life. She had a smile that everyone talked about, and I think she got a lot of Valentines. And from everything I read, she had a kind of ease in her life, and it goes away. And I was so compelled by this feeling of, I think she feels sort of relentlessly unsafe. And in trying to get to a place of safety and connection, she actually continues to isolate herself further and further. And the pain of that, and sort of walking that line of trying so hard to connect because you just don't want to be alone and you don't want to feel sort of on this island. But the way that she's kind of reaching out, I think it can be for people something that they don't quite know how to handle it. And so I think in turn they handle her. And I was just, that shift in her life, and you know, they're not from Texas, so trying to find your way in this new place and trying to fit in, but really going in the opposite direction. I was so interested in that, and I loved everything that I got to learn about her.
Leslie, you were talking about how the guys play such interesting roles too, and the thing that I love, and you'll see this more as the series goes on, but for Patrick and Jesse especially, your characters don't have large personalities. You know, they're very quiet in the beginning, but there's so many layers, especially that start to come out as the series unfolds. So what intrigued you about your characters, especially because they are in the beginning just very quiet, and it's kind of the wife that is the one that's taking charge. So what intrigued you about Pat and Alan, respectively?
I thought we were a couple cool guys.
You are, you're just more quiet.
I thought we were hunks.
I like how much Patrick has to laugh in the first episode at things. That was so great. So tell me about playing your role.
Noxious laughter.
And finding those layers, especially as the episodes go on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was one of the things that drew me to Alan, was that he is a bit of an enigma, and the fact that Candy sees something in him is really intriguing, and I think also kind of awakened a part of him in some way. I think when we meet him, you know, he's very much devoted to his community, to his family, and obviously struggling to connect with his wife. But yeah, I think in Candy sort of seeming to desire him, it sort of snapped him out of this sleepwalking that he had kind of been in for a while. And I think too, the relationship with Betty, you know, I do think there was so much love there, and so much baggage, and I think the more she was trying to kind of shake him awake, the more he probably felt like, you know, I have no idea how to do anything right, and so he just kind of completely withdrew, you know. But yeah, he was a very, very interesting guy.
With a great haircut.
With a great haircut.
And a leather jacket, pleather jacket.
Patrick, how about for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I read it, there was a good communication from David and his writing in terms of the sort of mechanism that he wants Pat to serve as in the story for Candy, as a sounding board and a sort of context to the new premise she creates after Jackie Ponder leaves, and she decides she's going to go for this. So she checks in with Pat, like, can I still do this? And he's doing his fucking thing. and not attending to himself and not attending to the partnership. And it's an interesting initial read because he also layers in a lot of more complexity, more substance to the guy. And it kind of revolves for me around what it is Pat and Candy have that we like, and what it is he's overlooking and what we don't like. Because I felt like we needed to kind of root for them as a couple. Like, we have to doubt Candy's choice, but then we also have to understand it too. Like, he's just milquetoast enough that, like, it makes sense that she's kind of like, you know, the snuggling up and snuggle puss, that whole thing. But then we also see that they do have a rapport, they do have something fun and electric that persists from earlier on in the relationship, but is clearly not enough, it's clearly not intimate enough. So all of that kind of amounts to a fairly complex character. It's frustrating for me to see Pat doing those things, but like super interesting to like dive in on the day and commit to them and stuff like that.
There was something that, there was an image that I think we were more than halfway through shooting.
Yes.
That was in a news article clipping that we end up trying to match later on in the show. And we have so many images of Pat and Candy and some video footage of them entering and exiting court. And that's kind of what we're going off of, at least like retro, what we're trying to work backwards in a way in our show from those moments. And this photo is taken and we see they look like heavy, like emotionally like heavy, and I don't know how else to describe the images of them going in and out of trial, but
it's
like
tense,
it's
super
tense, and like drab. And this photo is taken right after the acquittal, and they look sexy, but they're wearing the same outfits and they're in the same clothes, but there's like it's like two totally different people. They don't even look like any other image we've seen of them.
Yeah.
It was so shocking, and it made us realize that this is what was presented in the trial, which I'm sorry comes later. But there was something they were presenting in order to help tell their story.
Yes.
And then there was like an honesty captured that was the only image we had of them in that kind of relationship. And it seemed like a different element than what we present at the beginning, because we have to get somewhere. But anyway, it was an interesting photo. Like a photo can really tell so much about.
And we had to stage it. We had to basically take the same photo in character. So it was super interesting. Like this crazy journey from where they start to where they end up. You know?
Yeah.
You mentioned something, Jessica, about the humor, but the humor, I mean, it was all based on what actually happened. So we didn't create that. It comes out of circumstance. Hopefully never laughing at these characters. We love these characters, but you know, the beginning of the affair between Alan and Candy, they talked about it for months. I mean, that is absolutely in the story. They got together and ate lasagna and wrote the list of do's and don'ts to have a safe affair so no one will get hurt. And we copied that list from the book. So many of the things that are humorous about it are what happened in the story. And that to me is, we humans are so complicated, you know. And, you know, with Alan and Betty going to Marriage Encounter, it did really take place at Dunphy's Royal Inn on Northwest Highway in Dallas. Now that's torn down, but it looks like you're having this like therapy session, couples therapy in medieval times. So as a director, I would never put them in that circumstance if it wasn't true.
By the way, I was asking Leslie last week because I didn't know about this story at all. This was all brand new to me. I hadn't read the Texas Monthly articles until after I finished the series. If you haven't yet, don't do a deep dive. Like, go on this ride first and then you can go look at it, because it's so enjoyable to see how it just plays out. And you won't believe half of what happens. Like, how could this be real? And yet it was. And that, I mean, you guys do it so beautifully to explain that. Kristen, I want to bring you into the conversation and have you talk about the friendship with Lizzie's character Candy, because thank God for Shelley Kleckler, otherwise... Sherry Kleckler. I feel like she should open like a chicken shack or something, like Kleckler's Chicken, I don't know. But,
great idea.
Yeah, but talk to me about that friendship and what she served for Candy.
Yeah, so I was so thrilled to work with Lizzie Olsen, first of all, because she is heaven, as you guys just watched. And when I talked to David E. Kelley, it was really important to him that Sherry was her ear. And this was the safe space where we would really learn the truth about Candy and what was going on with her inner workings. And Sherry is a fierce, loyal friend who really is the only person who stands by her through to the end. She watches her kids when she goes to trial. And David really wanted Sherry to have some levity in the story, and it was important to him and to Leslie that this character was a little bit of a breath of fresh air and otherwise pretty dark story. So that was fun for me. I kind of tried to play her like she's just had like a little bit of vodka all the time. And since she's like the town beautician and like has her own business and like has her own things going on, I got to just play her a little bit, like, you know, a little something. It was really fun for me.
This is where they did, what's the saying? The higher the hair,
The higher the hair,
closer
the closer to God.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just teasing it up, and that's part of the fun of it too. As an actress, like anytime you get to just be full immersion into a different time period. When they were like, let's do red, okay, let's do it really high, okay, let's do 5-inch clogs while we're rolling only, because they hurt. But yeah, that part was really fun too.
I want to bring up, again, and we can't say too much because you all need to see it for yourself for the last episode. You are an incredible director, Homeland, Mad Men, insane. And you said to me something that stunned me, which was, you're like, I've blown a lot of shit up in my career on shows, but what happens in the finale is the hardest, most painful thing you've ever done. You guys need to, like,
Yeah.
unbelievable. What can you say about that experience and what you did?
They haven't
They haven't seen it, but I want you to kind of preview, because it is, in terms of what was like emotionally for you to do.
Well, I'll talk about it in generalities, but it's about two real women. It is very up close and personal. It was, you know, I guess there are things that happen on the planet that are truly inexplicable. And it's why people go back to look at them over and over. And I think what happened in that room is pretty inexplicable. But working with Lily and Lizzie on that, I mean, we choreographed it. We choreographed it actually from the court testimony. Yeah. And, oh God, Sunday is out there some way, but Sunday Stevens, our producer and first AD, and I acted it out. I don't think I ever showed you this horribly embarrassing video, but we did this to try to figure out from the testimony what happened in there, which was really embarrassing, so hopefully it's destroyed and no one will ever see it. But, you know, working with Lizzie and Lily and choreographing it, storyboarding it, trying to keep everyone safe, because again, it was very emotional. So I don't want to say too much more about it. I do want to address the fact that in the courtroom scenes, Lizzie, I think that your testimony was like 20 pages. It was long. She did it in like 2 takes. It was unbelievable. And Tom's summation, also the same. It was like, what? They were so incredible that our technical advisor, who was actually Don Crowder's law partner, said that Tom did a better job defending Lizzie than Don did.
That's fantastic. It is a master class in acting.
Yeah.
Every single episode, the performances that you all give and what you deliver is just extraordinary. So finally, I would love for you all to tell me, what do you hope viewers take away from this story at the end of it? What do you hope they walk away thinking?
I never know how to answer that question because I never actually think about it when I do a job, so it's a hard thing to. I think if I chose to direct or write something, I would have maybe a clearer thing. I just kind of want people to have their own experiences, but so maybe I'm just gonna let someone else answer that.
I'll bounce off of that because when I read the cover sheet, it gives like a summation of the events. This happens, there's this crazy event, and then the trial happens, and this is the result. And I was like, what? Like, how does that happen? That shouldn't have happened, clearly. And everybody I tell about this story, they're like, what? That's how it ends? How does that happen? And then I came up with my own sort of biases about like, well, they're trying to tell the story about this, and they're trying to humanize this or that or whatever. and or sympathize this way or that way. And then when I read the script, I was like, wow, this is so human. This is from a place where we're understanding the events that unfold and the decisions that are made. And so I also don't know how to answer the question most of the time, but this is one case really where the viewer, the observer, kind of takes away what they take away. There's a lot in there that David's put in and that everybody here's put in. So there's a lot to receive from it.
Leslie, do you have an opinion of what you want viewers to take away?
What Patrick said about the humanity, we humans are such complicated and fragile beings. And I think it really is, an American tragedy, the crack in the American dream, and that we all have to somehow take care of our inner selves and each other. And I think there's a lot of humanity in the story.
Yeah. I didn't want it to end because I wanted to see more of what happens to these characters and how they live their lives and go on, because everybody is so nuanced and there is so much to unpack. It truly, that's a great series when you leave it and you want more, and that's how I felt. Would anyone else like to add anything before we go and get food and bring it home in Tupperware afterwards?
Well, I was just going to say also, just to sort of there's such delicacy in the series. I think in the storytelling and in the choices that everyone makes, and I think what Lizzie said is exactly true. I think everyone will have such a unique experience, but I think they might be surprised along the way by how their experience shifts and their relationship to each character shifts, and just how when we make these choices, if one little thing is different, the ripple effect and just the huge responsibility we have for one another and for ourselves.
Well, congratulations again on a phenomenal achievement. And after you go eat, please go home and watch the next 2 episodes, because you guys, you don't know what you're in for. It's so good. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Jessica.
You know how I say sometimes that when I go to some of these events, when you watch one of these shows, makes you want to go and watch all the rest of them. This is one of those shows. But unfortunately, they're releasing them one at a time, so there's only like 2 episodes up on HBO MAX. So go and watch them. Write it in the comments. Let me know what you think, because it's so amazing. Now it's reception time. I'm gonna eat some food. That's a wrap on Love and Death. What a panel. What did everyone think? Write it down in the comments. Let me know. And, of course, don't forget to like and share. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone. I am out of here.